Let's come back to Accra. Let's talk about our ministers and whether or not they're doing good. Now, a highly expectant country has been assessing the ministers. The Ghanaians have pointed out their best ministers, like the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, John Peter Mewu, and the West, like the Minister of State in charge of Special Development Initiatives, Hawa Kumsin, in the MyJoyOnline.com survey. Today, the Education Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, has been ranked the best performing minister in the Akufo-Addo-led administration. He is ranked #1 among the best 10 performing ministers for the 2017 survey conducted by FAKS, a research and investigative agency in Ghana. Now, the polls were collated through responses from public opinion surveys conducted last year. Other ministers who made it to the best 10 list include the Health Minister, Lands and Natural Resources Minister, which of course resonates with MyJoyOnline.com's survey, Foreign Affairs Minister, the Attorney General, and Greek and Energy Ministers. It was conducted, of course, by FAKS, and it's also looked at the best performing deputy ministers, and it goes on and on and on. We'll be talking to FAKS to find out what really led them to this conclusion. I'll be speaking with Mr. Sapong. Mr. Sapong is already on the line, sir. Thank you very much for your time. Would you please tell us a bit about your methodology?
Yeah. Good afternoon to your viewers. And yeah, basically, this is something that we started doing in 2012. And normally, when in the last 3 months of the year, we go out throughout the country, talk to people, and ask them their opinion as to who is performing in terms of ministers, deputy ministers. That's what we started with. Then later on, we came out. We also added the CEOs of the state-owned enterprises. And this year, if you can see, we also add the PRO of the other agencies to it. So basically, we'll go out throughout the public, ask people their opinion, who is performing. I mean, if you mention who is performing, then we also ask what's the basis of you nominating that person.
Okay. So did you have to help them with some recall messages? Did you have to provide them names through for them to choose, or from which they chose, or did they just come up with the names themselves?
No, they come up with the names themselves. They come up with the names themselves. And also, what we also realized was that some even doesn't know our ministers at all, apart from their MPs. Apart from their MPs, some of the people across the country, some people doesn't know ministers and deputy ministers at all. So those people that are familiar with their names, they come out. And the way that they are doing, they come out with the nomination.
Okay, hold on for me. Let me bring in Nathan Gaduga. He's with MyJoyOnline.com. They organized that poll as well. Nathan, you're welcome.
Thank you, Gifty.
Okay, so I just wanted to find out how your poll, the poll that you did at MyJoyOnline.com, resonates with what we have here from FAKS. Do you see any similarities here?
To a large extent, I would say in terms of the results, the most impressive minister, we had Amewu to be our most impressive minister.
Right.
He makes it into FAKS results as one of the 10 best performing minister. I think that's the something I could pick up from judging the two polls. But essentially what we did is an opinion poll, online poll, which is fundamentally different from what he did. And an online poll is basically to test or assess people's opinions or assessments about issues and all that. And given the circumstances under which we did ours, it was just a 10-day poll, and we sought to find out from our readers what they thought about some ministers and all that. So basically what we did was just a 10-day poll, and attempted to gauge the people's or the readers' perception about the most impressive minister, the most impressive MP, and then the ministers they wanted sack for whatever reason. And then we had some really interesting results. But I would want to say that what we did is fundamentally different from what
has just been done. Yeah. But then what resonates with it is one name that stands out, right? John Peter Mewu, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. And we could obviously link that to the Galamsey fight.
Absolutely, there's no doubt about that. You know, when the Galamsey fight started, There were people who thought this was just going to be a 9-day wonder, it wouldn't last. But somehow Peter Amewu showed some commitment, some zeal, and he was actually forthright in whatever it was that he was fighting. And by no stretch of imagination can anybody say that the war against Galamsey has been won. But to a large extent, one can say that he is committed to fighting that cause, and we'll see what he does.
But is it also very fair? Is it also very fair that there was a media coalition for anti-Galamsey purposes, and so if there is a whole media coalition, and then a public euphoria or a public psyche that was ostensibly against Galamsey, that it was going to be easy for him to win. Or to win the hearts of the people, wasn't it?
Not necessarily. Sometimes the political will and the political commitment to get something done is very crucial. Okay. You may have media, you may have civil society organization making all the noise, but if you don't have the political will to ensure that that thing is done, it will be fruitless. For instance, the fight against corruption. What haven't we, the media, said? What haven't civil society done about it?
Okay, let me cut you.
If you don't have the political will, it won't be done.
Sorry, Nathan, let me cut you there and bring Mr. Sapon back in to find out what exactly did they say about the education minister, for which reason they ranked him tops?
Yeah, I think the education minister's one was the fact that the introduction of the free HSS.
Free SHS.
That dominates on the part of the education minister.
Okay, but did you get the sense that they really understood his role in the implementation of the free SHS policy?
Majority of the people that we didn't look at that. What they think is the fact that the free SHS have been introduced and they are benefiting.
I see. How would you describe your respondents? Who are they?
Well, we talked to some of those people that we talked to are journalists, academia, traders, students, cut across.
Okay, and your total respondents were?
Pardon me.
How many people did you?
We talked to over 4,000 people.
Over 4,000 people. In which areas? In which areas?
Yeah.
In which areas?
Across the country.
Across the country?
Yes.
So in all 10 regions?
In all the 10 regions.
Wow, that must have been a lot of work. But who was your worst performing minister, by the way?
Pardon me?
Who was your worst performing minister?
I wouldn't want to say it. In fact, we had some of them by the nature of our job. We didn't want to bring them out.
No, seriously, this is a scientific work. So if you did a scientific work, you have to publish your results.
Well, pardon me for that.
No, I'm not sure. Nathan, is this pardonable? I don't find it pardonable.
Sometimes you just have to find out the motive for the research, who funded it. Okay. Most of these things will tell you or give you an idea what the research is about. Well, for every scientific research, I think the basic thing to do is to publish the results of your research. I don't know what reasons he has for not disclosing them.
Okay, well, Mr. Sapon, you are going to have to help us here. Who funded your research? For what purposes? I mean, apart from letting the people of Ghana know who others think is performing, you know, what was the purpose?
Since 2012, this project has been done by me and my team. Okay. And there's no funding from anywhere. We sacrifice and do it.
I see.
And let me mention it. Okay. The list that we had, getting to the bottom of the list was one of them is the Otiko Jaba.
Okay.
Yes.
So she's one of the worst performing ministers.
I would say she was one of the bottom ministers.
So she was one of the worst performing ministers, basically.
I wouldn't say worst performing, but among those people that had the least respondents, she's one of them.
What did they say about her? Why do they think she's supposed to be at the bottom?
Well, I think basically most of them said, one, they didn't like her. 2 utterances. Then I think there was a few that we had about dressing. Yeah.
I see. I see. So most of the people you spoke to, what would you say the ratio of men to women would be?
Yeah, we had about, let me check what else.
Okay. And whilst you cross-check that, I'd like to find out how did you pick your samples? Was it random?
No, I don't wonder. Well, we actually we talk to people face to face. We send messages through WhatsApp to people, and then we also send some forms to people to fill.
Okay. So how did you choose those people?
We had about 57% be female, then the remaining be male.
Okay. But how did you choose them? Did you just pick them randomly?
No, as I said, we went to market. Then those people that we meet at the market, we talk to.
That's random.
Yeah, we go to some schools, and those people that we meet over there, we talk to.
Okay. Let me take your final words. What do you expect your work will achieve for the people of Ghana?
Well, what we'll try to do is that we want the ministry to be aware that even though it's the president who appoints them, but the awards are also be examined by the public. And the public have also powers, with regard to their vote, also to change them. So they should be very careful while they are serving the nation.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on the
You're
Pulse.
welcome. Thank you very much.
I'll be speaking with Mr. Sapong. He is with the FAKS Investigative Services, and they've organized a survey in which they put the Education Minister, Dr. Opoku Prempeh, tops for his performance. And even though he's very reluctant to mention who is in the bottom, he finally puts Opoku Prempeh there as well. We'll put that. Are we putting this information on myjoyonline.com?
Yeah.
We will?
Yeah.
Okay, so you get to see. It's a long list, actually, and because of time, we won't be able to go through it all. So there are members of parliament and how they fared. We have ministers and how they fared. We have, what's it called? We have, I think we have best CEOs. We have best CEOs of state-owned enterprises as well. And the first is Dr. Anthony Siasari, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service. Nathan, when I finish this, I'd like to take your quick thoughts and we wrap up. So the best CEOs, we have the first being Dr. Anthony Siasari. The 10th is Asamoah Boateng, CEO of State Enterprise Commission. The best 10 ministers, Dr. Opoku Prempeh. Okay, so I have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is Ibrahim Awal Mohammed, Business Development Minister. 7th, okay, and I'm just jumping here, as you can see. 7th is Alan Chemating, Trade and Industry Minister. Dan Boche is number 8, looking to split up the country further. Kwekwo Foriesiama is the Transport Minister. Well, I haven't heard so much about him. Because I couldn't go through, let me just find out. Generally, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I would have to look at especially the ministers that were surveyed and the results that came. Opoku Prempeh made it, even though he was reluctant to mention who was the most disappointing. He finally came up with a name. Opoku Prempeh was not our most disappointing minister, but
how did she fare?
She made it to the sack list, and
dear.
that wasn't good enough.
So it resonates with the results of these people, right?
And you might not necessarily want to gauge her performance. Probably it was her media relations and the kinds
public
of
perception
things that she probably might have said, which actually generated the kind of responses that we got from our readers and from the people that FAKS spoke to. I think basically what we intend to do next year is to have an award system. It's definitely going to be an opinion poll on my Joy Online as well, and then to gauge the perceptions and assessment of our public officers and what our readers actually think about them. What we did this year was basically a 10-day polling system where we try to assess the opinions of our readers. Next year, or this year actually, is going to be more comprehensive, and we'll try to get what our readers think about general issues,
right.
and then we'll publish the results and give awards as well.
Oh wow, awards sounds good. Okay, Nathan Garuga, thank you so much for coming. Nathan is assistant editor on myjoyonline.com, and like I said, this FAKS investigative services report will be on myjoyonline.com. Just so if you want to check out your favorite minister, your favorite CEO, just go on to myjoyonline.com.